Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix of Shelter. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, it's on Patreon for $5. And if you want, the free version that isn't the most up to date, then you can go to their itch.io and get that. So anyways, on last Let's Play, it was the fight between Burry Tangleroot and Rune, which, as I predicted, and I think also heavily hinted, Burry used the cracking ice, not really the monster to, help him in his struggle. But then Rune has gone under and unconscious in the lake. So, let's start. It feels familiar. Like, nothing. Familiar nothing. In this transitory state of return towards the cradle of souls, I feel the hunger of the world trying to feast on my experience, my very life. Yet, all of it is going to stay with me untouched once again. I'm not going to be allowed to move on. All the power, knowledge, oaths, and all the scars, so many of them. Maybe this is enough. I've been forcibly clinging to life after life, purely out of fear of the shattered fate. But all of those lives weren't much better. If I stopped now, I wonder how big I'd become. Bigger than a castle? Yes. I think it's finally time for me to stop running away and finally begin my own quest. There's so little time and the chance so slim, but who knows? If I hurry, maybe I can find even just a little piece of her. There's actually females in this universe. Suddenly, I feel a push, somewhere. Push, after push, after push. The pressure on my mouth, my lungs. It goes on forever. I want it to stop. I want to rest, and it doesn't let me. It's uncomfortable. Even through the numbness, it can still recognize how much I'd rather be left alone than to be bothered like that. And it gets worse. I actually start feeling parts of my body again. It hurts, convulses. You can feel everything move inside me. And then it all flows out of me. I vomit a bucket full of cold water from my chest, flailing my limbs and pushing myself off the ground in panic. It takes a moment to sharpen my vision. Mind is completely confused. A couple of my soldiers shout something to me, but the words don't stick in my mind. I stand up. Not a good idea. So cold. I walk down the shore aimlessly. The wind batters the wet fur of my naked chest. I feel freezing beyond my skin. A few of my soldiers are huddled together, struggling to keep warm. Some of them look unconscious. Are we going to freeze to death here? I see Chip. He's on all fours, shouting at the lake. Is he grieving? Calling out to someone? Jake isn't with him. We're missing so many dogs. I see. Mooresbrook is on the horizon. We have to keep moving. But then I hear crying? I've never heard the sound like that before. It doesn't sound like a canine's yelping, and yet sorrow in that voice is unmistakable. With slow, methodical steps, I force myself to draw closer toward the big boulder at the edge of the water. Behind it, half submerged in the freezing lake, lies the motionless body of Burry Tangleroot. He's lying on his back, and the gentle waves brush over his open mouth. On top of his massive chest kneels Luke the human, crying and shouting, all wet and freezing himself. He struggles with all of his feeble strength to bring the dog back to life. But he can't. His arms tremble so violently, he can muster neither enough force nor precision to push against the dog's thick, heavy chest. Every once in a while, another wave comes, splashing against the corner of Burry's motionless mouth, already full of water. I both savor and loathe the sight of his helpless, lifeless carcass. For all the lives of my soldiers, this still seems too lenient of a punishment. Yet death is death. Mother Earth will judge him, even if I won't. Didn't he say that himself? No matter the means of this end, the same fate would await him. He must have known he has already corrupted beyond saving. He was. Not in the borderlands, Burry Tangleroot. The world will not weep your loss. Turn around. I walk away. Rune, help. He's not breathing. Oh, I know that. Isn't that great? My arms won't listen to me. I'm too weak to push his chest. It's good that everybody knows CPR, apparently. Please, help him. Help him? That's rich. After murdering my soldiers in cold blood, how dare the human ask me to bring that villain back to life? How dare he? Rune, please. I snarl and turn around to yell at him exactly that. I wonder if there's going to be a thing where it's like, hey, the soldiers are fine, they're just somewhere else. Or if it's like, yeah, a bunch of them are actually dead. Because that'd be a weird relationship thing, you know? The fury inside me fills my frigid veins with searing fire. Yet when I look at his face, my open mouth trembles wordlessly. His eyes, once so sharp and full of power and nobility, now are the most pathetic sight I've ever witnessed. His hands grab onto the dog's coat weakly, and he keeps staring at me with those powerless eyes, disillusioned by the reality of the world. We can still save him. He drowned in the cold water, so his body has more time for it. Yeah, I'm not sure how long cold water keeps people alive when drowning compared to other times. Not a story time. Please, Rune. He's my friend. That's right, he doesn't know. He was knocked out when all hell broke down. He didn't witness Burry causing all of this. I raised my arm to point at my soldiers. At Chip, still shouting for Jake at the lake, but Jake isn't going to come back. Chip is forever going to be alone, and will never have the chance to apologize for pointing my sword at Jake. All because of Burry Tangleroot. Take a deep breath in preparation to shout at him. And once again, I can't speak. I just gasp for air, looking at the weakest, most pathetic person in the whole realm. That's not fair. Not fair? Get off him. I stomped towards him and grabbed the dog by his neck. With a wide, snarling, and considerable effort, I managed to toss his heavy carcass away from the water. Despite my whole mind being a big conflicted mess, my orders to the human are clear and brief. I take care of the chest, while he tries blowing air in his mouth. But he struggles. The human's mouth is smaller and built much differently. He can't figure out how to do it properly. I wonder how you do that. Like, I get, these dogs are much bigger than regular dogs. I guess you just kind of put your entire mouth over them, or clasp their muzzle shut and blow in their nose. Witnessed something like that too. In the end, I ordered him to only support the dog's neck and cover his nose, while he alternate between the chest compress and maw to maw. I also heard that apparently you don't need to do maw to maw, Though I would have to suspect that if we're talking about drowning, that's an entirely different thing, I feel terrible, guilty, ashamed. If Jake cannot be saved, why should this murderer have such a chance? That's not fair. Yet, I don't stop. It sounds like the audio is a bit louder for the music than me. No. Yet, I don't stop. I put all of my care and effort into saving his awful, despicable villain. This. His? Was it his or this? I read his. No, I can't read. Because even though the world may not weep for his loss, he would. Suddenly, his massive chest jerks up. He starts spitting water right into my face. Both of us put him to lie on the side to help him empty his lungs and make it easier for him to breathe. He still doesn't wake up. But the feeble spark of life I could feel through empathy is finally growing brighter. I don't know how to feel. I'm filled with great shame, like I'm betraying not only my soldiers, but also myself. The human grabs my hand. With his trembling, pale fingers, as cold as if they belonged to a corpse, he stares at me with tears of relief and gratitude in his blue eyes. Thank you, Rune. You really are a true hero. I promise, I'll help you with the little I can do. I'll go to the capital if you want me to. I won't resist. I'll find some way to repay this debt, me and Burry both. We'll lessen your burden, somehow. You'll see. Stop. No more. Just like that villain didn't deserve my mercy or his care, now I don't feel like I deserve those words. Even though I'm telling myself I'm doing all of this for my father and for the people of our nation, the human still doesn't deserve everything I'm putting him through. Looking at the sleeping villain with all the hatred boiling inside me, I can't help but wonder. If I was in his place, wouldn't I do everything I can for the people I love? Isn't that exactly what I was trying to do by sacrificing the human? I don't know. I don't know what is right or wrong anymore. General! They're here. They're all running at... Fantastic. The loud shrieks of monsters outshouted even the panic cries of the soldiers. Everyone who survived the lake's freezing depths quickly ran towards Rune Moon to regroup. Some of them were too weak to make it in time. Others decided to stay and fight to protect those weakened comrades who couldn't move. Wet, cold, lacking in gear and men. Even with their expertise, rigorous training, they couldn't be prepared for a battle at such vast and sudden disadvantages. And there are too many monsters. Even those from outside his scouts, sensing range, suddenly started running towards the lake shore. Was it the Colossus roar that called them here? Rune Moon, and Velo's clan heirloom sword in his hand, fought the incoming beasts with all the ferocity he could muster. Who's Velo? And yet, he couldn't be everywhere at once. He realized with an aching heart that he wouldn't be able to save everyone. With each painful yelp, his mind was filled with more desperation, which with each fallen dog, his heart crumbled. His body was slowly giving up to the chill and exhaustion, even with the internal warmth granted by Ungate mana and the cold tolerance of the Surians he absorbed throughout the battle. He still felt great toll the tundra was inflicting on him. And even more devastating than the physical cold was the hero's broken spirits. After his soldiers rebelling at the lake, he found himself unable to initiate pack mentality with them. The doubts in his heart left him unable to call on the might of his canine embers. His whole platoon was wounded, fractured, and marching towards death. As much as he struggled, he knew he was helpless to do anything about that. There's only one thing that could possibly turn the tides of this battle. One power. He needed the true moon to finally awake. Was that always the kind of scenario when the awakening would happen? During the darkest hour, at the edge of death, that's when moon would rise to save the day? To protect people? Then why? Why? Why am I so weak? General, I see a blur of glowing eyes and pointy teeth in the corner of my vision, too fast for me to dodge without a wound. Before I'm able to react, a sudden impact at my back sends me forward. I hear the sound of stabbing and then a crunch of broken bones. I turn around and split the monster's skull into 32 chunks. I counted them because reasons. With 5 rapid slashes of my beautifully decorated blade that used to belong to Velo. Pieces of creature's eyes grew dim, and its giant body slumps down to the frozen ground. However, with it, so does Chip, with the monster's teeth clasped around the left side of his torso tightly, and his head squished inside the wet, warm softness of the creature's maw. Chip! Damn it. However, despite the severity of his wound and worsening blood loss, he still moves his legs. With a few quick slashes, I cut off and kick away a side chunk of the fallen monster's maw, letting Chip breathe. I grab his face and look into his wide open, scared eyes. Don't move. General, teeth, pull him out, please. No, you don't do that, because that would cause more bleeding. I said don't move. Here. I focus on the charge of Surian mana in my body and release it back into the air. Without it, I suddenly regain my full sense of discomfort due to the cold in my body. I think Surian or whatever it is like lizards. I don't think they're cold resistant, you know? Dragon mana. Here. Absorb it. I'm gonna set you free, but you must close your wounds as soon as I open the maw. General. It's hard to breathe. Of course it is. His fangs inside his left lung. None of this is looking good. Focus if you want to live. I attract the fleeting charge of Slurn mana and keep it close to us, waiting for Chip to absorb it before it completely dissolves. He should be able to. I know he used to be proficient, at least in rodent Slurian. General, you died many times, right? How could you tell me what death is like? You know, while we're in the middle of a battle. Anyways, tell me, in my next life, will I be able to see Jake again? Always gotta love... I'm sorry, but you always gotta... I mean, yeah, he's probably losing blood and a little delirious, but you gotta always love these moments where it's like, we're in the middle of a battle. How about we have a chat? Or, I always gotta love those things where it's like, hey, you just got away from the monster, or it's still kind of around or whatever. How about we have a sex scene? Or make out? It's like, Granted, I can't say if maybe that's a thing that happens, but it's like, seriously, you just got away from it, or are close to getting away from it. Don't start banging. Anyways, the charge of Surian mana is still there, though it's going to disappear any moment now. I want to urge him not to give up, if only he manages to focus. As he keeps staring back at me with those eyes full of desperate hope, I take his hand and start patting him on his head, while he moans in pain. I bring my face close to his and whisper with tears in my eyes. I doubt it. Chip nods slowly. As he does, his eyes lose their luster, and he grows limp, letting out his final breath. I mean, at least Rune is honest. Wait. What did I say to him in the end? I stand up, with utter confusion in my mind. I comforted him, right? I wouldn't tell him something as cruel as I heard myself say. I don't want to let go of his hand. The moment I do, there's no going back. I don't want to acknowledge that both Jake and Chip are... But I have to. So sorry. I have to keep going. There must be someone whom I can save. Please. Someone. Anyone. But there's none. As far as I can spend my empathy, or spread, I can sense not a single canine that would still be awake in the fighting condition. All I feel is faintness in the sea of chaotic monster spirits. With my eyes still blurred with tears, I can only hear and smell the sounds of ripped flesh and broken bones, smells of gore. They're feasting on them, on all those dogs who are under my protection. This is the end. This is what happens when I grow weak and my resolution wavers. All of my men died because of me. I killed them. I fall on my knees and sob. I don't even care to protect myself. If they want to come and slay me too, they're welcome to do that. A hero who cannot save his own men, or his father, doesn't deserve to live. Then I can feel it. It's in front of me, walking in my direction. Even with everything else around me being heavily blurred, the lurched, feral figure stumbling towards me appears uncannily clear in my eyes. The head with a long snout and a bizarre toothy beak. The small, toothless wings on its side. Flightless wings, sorry. Well, this is a very weird image here. And the dark red feather covering its whole body, as if permanently drenched in blood. Scarlet Plume, the monster that has been following me all my life. I must have killed it 100 times already, but it always comes back with a hungry, murdered gaze. It's far from the strongest creature that I fought. Definitely not the biggest, smartest, fastest, or even scariest by any measure. I mean, it does look pretty scary. And yet, it's certainly the most unwavering one. Always a familiar sight. In the state that I am now, would I even be able to kill it if I wanted? I'm not sure. Not that it matters. Like, what am I even looking at? Can't really tell. Like, looks way more just messed up than most other monsters in the game. The sword drops from my hand and splashes into the half-frozen puddle of Chip's blood. As if in a trance, I start walking towards the monster. Step after step, we draw close to each other. Seeing and feeling my submission, it doesn't hurry. Strings of drool drip from between its teeth, but it walks towards me slowly, as if savoring its triumph. Yes. If there's a single monster that deserves the honor of putting me down, it's this one. I reach my right hand towards it, as if to touch its snout. But the hunger in its eyes doubles, its whole body tenses, and snaps at me with its sharp maw. I can't subdue my lifelong engraved reflex to evade the attack, but still catches my hand. I can feel its teeth sink into my flesh of my right palm. It struggles to bite through the strongest part, the strongest body in the whole canine country, but in the end, skin, muscle, and bones are no match for monster's teeth. But my body and mind panic. I start tugging away. I kick the creature, but it barely reacts. It doesn't move. It just stares at me with those bright, glowing eyes, while over-salivating from the taste of blood constantly flowing from the palm of my hand. I stare back into the eyes. I put my hand over the creature's snarling, tense snout. A comforting thought suddenly burrows into my mind and calms me down. After I die this time, maybe I'll have another chance to be free in my next life. But I shake the thought away. I smile at the creature with familiarity and understanding. The truth is finally clear in my mind. No. This time, after I die, there isn't going to be another chance. After that, everything happens in the blink of an eye. The monster opens its maw, releasing my mauled hand. It raises its head, straining its neck like a bowstring in a preparation to bite. Blood, saliva, and snow all dance in the air between us. I only spread my arms, waiting for well-deserved rest. I feel like that's a good another time to call it, because, scene change and all that stuff, especially since, I almost forgot about that turret and the cables. It was like I'm living through those events again. But yeah, sorry, just gonna have to see what happens between the things, But yeah, the end of this Let's Play. Ooh, if you want to, see what happens next, you can play the game. Or you could, wait for another week, unless you're watching this late, in which case you just go to the next one. So anyways, the end of this Let's Play. So comment, cause I like comments. Don't you like, dislike, tips, tricks? Otherwise, I say tips, but I think the only tips I'd be getting in this game is, runes and furries. We already got that. If you like my YouTube and would like to grow, then please like, subscribe, and check out the videos that have grown. Please remember to spay new your animals, help control the pet population. If you want to play this game, it's for free on itch.io. And if you want... read a big C on. If you want to see the most up-to-date version, then, go to Patreon. Give them $5. That helps support the game. And until next time, let's say, me, GamerWolfSix of Shelter. So thanks and see you.